Welcome to Business Talk, presented in collaboration with the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, from the heart of southeastern Ohio at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Our goals are simple: promote the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, as well as advocate local small business and their support organizations. More importantly, promote southeastern Ohio as a wonderful place to live, explore, and learn. There are many different ways you can find us. The University of Rio Grande Cable Access Channel 17, live online at blogtalkradio.com, and on YouTube if you are unable to catch our show live. Introducing our co-hosts, Jason Winters, Mike Thompson, Patrick Dingle. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to our show. It's really great having special guests today and then upcoming weeks. Jason, unfortunately, is unable to come on to the show. He had some prior requirements that he needed to take care of, and so he humbly asked to please be forgiven in talking with Scott today. But upcoming at 2 o'clock, we have Valerie and Mike, which they're going to be talking about exposition, art and culture, and they are going to be interviewing one of the local artists that works with glass, and as well as some other unique products, etc. Her name is Courtney Ritchie. And then at 3 o'clock, we have Dr. Richard Sachs. Dr. Richard Sachs is the provost here at the University of Rio Grande Community College. And he has put together a unique show that I hope all of our listening and viewing viewers stay tuned, because we have some interesting things going on. So it's my great pleasure to bring back someone that has had a lot of hits on prior YouTubes and things of that nature. We usually have Scott Borden. Scott Borden is the police chief, the campus police here at the University of Rio Grande, on different safety tips that all of us need to be aware of and be reminded. And so it's my pleasure to introduce or reintroduce Scott Borden.
Thank you, sir.
Scott, it is great having you back on the show.
I appreciate being here. Thank you very much.
I know that you've had a lot of history and experience working in the field of security and things of that nature. Share with the listening audience your background.
Well, I was born in Pennsylvania, ended up moving to Springfield, Ohio, actually a little town called Enon. My dad was an air traffic controller.
Very good.
He worked Vandalia Airport, so that's where we lived. Just out of high school, I graduated high school in June and started the Ohio State Highway Patrol in September. So I had 3 months of freedom, and then spent the next 33 years as a state trooper.
33 years, wow.
When I retired, I was the assistant district commander for the 10-county area.
Where was that located? Here in
Southeastern Ohio.
Southeastern
so I
Ohio.
had Gallia County and all these southeastern counties, and I was the second in command of that area. Just started my 4th year here, probably about 2 months into my 4th year here. So overall, about 37 years in law enforcement.
Wow. And I know that you have a police force. Before we begin with you telling about the police force, I noticed that some universities call campus security, and the University of Rio Grande has a campus police. What's the difference on that?
The difference is our officers are certified police officers through the Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy. There are campuses that have just security, which is not certified law enforcement police officers. There are some that have a mix. All of our officers are certified police officers. We have 5 full-time, plus I have a lieutenant who's the assistant chief. We have some part-times that fill in for the full-time, but so all of ours are certified police officers, which means that they're armed, and they're armed for one reason, is to keep the students and the faculty and staff safe here.
I know that the campus is not a tremendously large campus, but we are in the rural area. and security is one of those issues.
You know, it's unfortunate. Once or twice every couple of weeks, you read something bad happening at either a college or university or a lower education school, and it's just not only the security in that sense. It's the fire prevention. There's the theft prevention. There's just generally a really big emphasis, which I believe has always been an emphasis, but there's just a really big emphasis on sexual assault prevention this year. So that word security encompasses everything. Even if you're a police department and you're certified police officers, your job is to keep the students, the visitors, and the staff and faculty secure. So.
Oh, that's interesting. You want to talk a little bit about some of the staff members that you have that work with you?
I am very blessed to have a lieutenant who is a retired state highway patrolman, also state trooper. I had 33 years, he had 35 years, so we have 68 years just within the department. Wow. And if you throw in Aaron Quinn, who's the dean of students, who had 12 years as state trooper, there's 80 years of state police.
That is amazing.
On this campus, and there's probably very few that have that much experience in the patrol. My 5 full-time officers were very blessed. The average age, if you combine them, is probably in the 30s. That means a lot because a lot of campuses, you end up having officers who are 21, 22, just getting out of the academy. We have people that have some maturity and are able to make good decisions for the students and the staff. 3 of my 5 are former military. All 5 of them have been police officers at other places. One of our officers even was a police chief at another town. So we're very blessed to have some experienced, mature people.
Yeah, I would venture to say so. Just a couple thoughts on highway patrol. We as citizens sort of look at the highway patrol as those that give tickets, but it's a little bit more than that.
It is. It's to get the DUI driver off the road, to protect you, keep you safe. The road rages. They're actually involved in a lot of investigations for all the prison systems. They inspect all the school buses, security for the State House, the governor. There's a lot of things that they're involved in, and I've tried to bring a little bit, if we have time to talk about that, to our department. Is like you mentioned, and when I talk to the kids, I talk to all the freshman LA 101 classes, and I tell them one of the aspects that we bring in here is troopers. You look at it as they're the guys that write you the tickets, and you want to stay away from them. But what we've taken from that is the one thing you notice about troopers is they act professional and they look professional.
Yeah.
And if you look at our officers, and I always throw this out, is I can't guarantee they all look like physical specimens, myself included, but they always look professional in their uniform. They don't have donut crud all over their shirt. They don't have mud on their boots. They look professional. And that's what when you see a trooper, you see a professional officer, and that's what our hope is here, is if a bad guy shows up here, or even if it's just a small-time thief, they see a professional-looking officer, they're going to move on, and we're going to run them out of here.
It's interesting. I got to commend the officer. One of my offices is here, since I go to several different places, etc. And the office. The office had a note on it, and it said, "This is just a reminder. Please lock your door if you're going to be gone." And one of the reasons being is that my computer was sitting on the front desk, and I thought I locked the door, but I thought that was a good thing.
Well, that's one thing I've tried to sort of the community policing thing is one. You always hear the word protect and serve, and what we do is we try to protect and keep the students safe and stuff. But also, part of that service is, one of the things we do is we have a jump box. If a staff or a student battery dies, they leave their lights on too long, they don't have to call AAA or anything. They call us, we come and we get their car jumped. Also, there's a lot of kids and students and even staff who lock their keys in their car. We have a device that 99.9% of the time, the officer will come over, they'll get your door unlocked and get your keys for you.
I thought it was called a brick.
Well, that's probably some choices because you got to bust your window out. If you call a locksmith, it's going to cost you over $100 to get it. So So, and then part of what you're talking about is the officers at night, they're in the dorms to make sure that the kids are safe. They're in the offices to make sure that there's no thieves and people breaking in. But that's what they do, is they put notes on the doors if there's a door unlocked, just to remind you
Sure.
that there could be somebody coming there and steal. We, in these days of saving money and stuff, our guys will turn lights off that are in the hallways and if it's not necessary, and in the rooms. And it's just a total service, and that's what we're here to do, is protect and serve.
It's rather interesting, and we were speaking about this before. Have we ever been in a time period where everything has been safe, where we have not needed police?
I just got back from a seminar in Columbus yesterday about fire safety and campus safety, and one of the things they talked about is sort of the definition of risk, is everything that you do is a risk. When you get up, to drive to the campus, you drive to work. We just have a society where almost everything you do is a risk, and it's seemingly, with more people becoming despondent over the years, and just there's more drugs and alcohol abuse and just so many things. It just seems like police and law enforcement is needed just to make people feel that, have that sense of security.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. And I know that we've had one of our guests come on. She teaches pistol shooting.
Jessamy Bright.
Yes, Jessamy Bright on concealed weapons. And, I thought, now who would carry a concealed weapon? And I know that here at the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College and Ohio State University, none of us are allowed to bring a fire weapon or a concealed weapon on campus.
That's correct.
But it is amazing how many individuals do at least bring to work with them and leave them in their car concealed weapons.
It's that sense of, watching the news every night and seeing all the bad things that happen,
true.
is that there's just a greater sense that you need to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Most police officers will tell you that they won't, anybody in law enforcement, that they don't want weapons on a campus, or they don't want weapons in the workplace, because we all hope that scenario where the best case scenario is someone bursts into a classroom and someone bursts into an office, and someone with a concealed carry saves the day. They pull out and they shoot the bad guy. Unfortunately, that typically doesn't happen. It's just, there are so many things that can go wrong, where the gun is left unattended and someone gets it. And we used to have a term in law enforcement, in the patrol and stuff, is sometimes you arm an unarmed man. So if you're a CCW carrier, you get in a wrestling match, you have a student that gets angry about something, and you've got somebody with a weapon. And the police like to know, when they go into a situation, that the only people that have a weapon are the police, and everybody else that has one is the bad guy. Now, when that gets intertwined and mixed up there, that's,
And you have a couple John Waynes out there, and who's really the bad guy?
Well, there was a shooting in Nevada about a year or so ago. I don't know if you remember. There were two police officers that were ambushed at a pizza place. The two people shot the police officers. They ran across the street, went into a Walmart, and there was a CCW carrier in the store who tried to do the right thing and ended up getting shot because these people fired back at him when he fired. So that's the worst case scenario.
Right.
That someone that wouldn't have probably got harmed gets harmed. Like I said, the best case scenario would be great if someone saved the day, but unfortunately that's not what you read about or see. So.
That's true. You've been very proactive in the training of not only your own police force, but also some of the other highway patrol. I still remember you bringing in a task group that helped to go through the scenario of what happens if there's a shooting or something of that nature. And it was a live demonstration.
It was live with the State Highway Patrol graciously sent their SWAT team down here and their academy staff, and we had the local troopers, local deputies, local village riot police, and then all of our guys went through it and actually used this building when it was being renovated and blared music and,
Yes.
and turned lights off and made them go through scenarios to
Yes.
go to find the bad guy.
And some of us were used as
Victims.
victims, and we could act and scream and yell and carry on. And the thing that really surprised me was that trained police officers, all of a sudden, you had these screaming individuals, and you had music blaring, and you had just a lot of commotion, really took them out of their element.
It does, because, you know, the police officers sort of trained to, like, they walk up to a car and they're looking for the bad guy, and they've got visualized what's going to happen. No one, no matter how hard you are or how trained you are, to walk into an office building at a workplace or walk into a college campus, and all of a sudden there's smoke, there's gunfire, there's people shot, screaming, "Help me!" It's going to throw you off the game,
Sure.
and that's what's so good about what they did is, it's, you know, like any time in basketball or football, you practice what's going to happen and
Yes.
you don't panic.
Yes.
That's why you practice plays at the end of the game and stuff.
Yes.
So the hope is our guys now, that if something happened here, they're not going to be awed by that. All of a sudden there's smoke, there's
Right.
noise, there's people screaming. They've been there and done that.
Right.
And that's the best thing about it.
Yeah, and it was a great exercise, and I hope that you're able to bring that back on campus, and that other individuals would at least experience it being victims.
Well, the
It's
fact
very-
that people like you and Mike and his wife, and, you know, we had some students involved, and we actually had some students that observed it, and they still talk about
Yes.
it. So no, it was a good thing, and
Yeah.
I hope to do it again.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, you know, we as citizens know pretty much the major laws, what we should and should not do. And I know none of us here at the University of Rio Grande would ever think of traveling 1 mile more than the speed limit.
I would hope not.
And so we're aware of the laws, but we still do stupid things, don't we?
It's you know, they always say that, you know, you can't cure stupid, and you know, if there was laws against being stupid, that, you know, there wouldn't be enough prisons and stuff. But
Yeah, that's true.
It's
But you know, one of the things that I'm thinking about is, let's suppose it's Saturday night, and we sort of are going to celebrate, and so we drink a little bit too much, or we do those things that are against the law, you know, like smoke marijuana or something of that nature. And the reality is that unless we are very careful, we have seriously broken a law or two.
And I always try to tell people the law is the least of your problems. And that may not make sense, but the injury and the death and the horror that you can cause for families, and by being in a crash or injuring yourself or other people, is the most tragic event. And that's what you're trying to prevent. Now, there's a consequence for that, the being arrested for too much marijuana, or you know, taking prescription drugs while you're driving, or non-prescription, or too much alcohol. And everybody's fear is, well, I'm going to get caught and get a DUI and stuff like that. But while that should be your preventative fear from doing it, it's the actual being in a crash and hurting somebody, and is far more tragic than the actual being arrested for it. So.
That is true. You know, I saw somewhere where they were doing a test of the reflexes, and so they had several individuals. One was drinking a beer or a shot, and then they would drive around a course. And it was interesting, after the third or fourth beer or shot in an hour, they could not control that vehicle.
It messes you up. We actually, the State Highway Patrol had, have you ever heard the DUI goggles?
No.
That you can put on. There's a set of goggles that you can put on that would show that you would test 20 on a breath machine. 08 in Ohio is illegal. As a juvenile, 02 is illegal.
Huh.
And they also have a set of glasses that would make you test 14, which would both be way over. And we use them. I think Coach Willie uses them at the health fair, but we used to do charity basketball games with Highway Patrol, and we would at halftime have the boys varsity team come out and the girls varsity team and have them try to shoot foul shots with those glasses on. Rarely did anybody even hit the backboard.
So what does the glasses do?
The glasses give you the distortion, and that if you put the .21 on, that's the distortion you would have if you had enough alcohol that you would test .20. And when you saw the best athletes in the school trying to make a foul shot, I mean 90-95% never hit the backboard. So then you try to visualize with that person driving a car. So it just completely distorts your whole. The human mind anyway, they always told us for any reaction time, they told us it was 3/4 of a second. So if you see a police car coming at you and you think, oh, like you had mentioned, I'm a little bit over the speed limit, or I'm behind a car and I'm a little bit too close, and they hit their brakes or something, as soon as your mind tells you, I need to hit my brakes, there's a 3/4 of a second delay. So anything that you do to make that delay even more by marijuana or pills or alcohol, because 3/4 of a second can be a long time when you're talking.
That is true.
Am I going to get a ticket, or am I going to hit somebody in the rear here?
Especially if you're traveling 60 miles an hour, 55.
Yeah, at a high speed. Yeah. So you couple that with alcohol or anything, it really messes you up. So.
And, one of the things that I found out that was rather interesting, since both Mike and Jason have larger motorcycles, that the faster you go on a motorcycle, the less you weigh. And it's more easy the faster you are in having the wind, either the wind or a car just play havoc with you.
Oh, there are so many. The wind, Mike will tell you, dogs running out in front of you. As bad it is when you're driving your car home and you see a deer alongside the road, that deer's probably going to hit your car and bounce off, and you're going to have some damage and you're going to move on. But on a motorcycle, it really causes a lot of, if you have to lay it down to miss the deer, or the deer runs straight into the motorcycle. So dogs, deer, wind, rain even, if you get rain, the windshield of your glasses, and it's just, it can really, you got to be good and paying attention.
No, that's true. Last week at this time, we started having a record snowfall of 13, 15 inches down in Portsmouth. Last night, I saw 3 people out on their motorcycles. And, our street is a thoroughfare with 35 miles. And one of the things that I noticed, they were so happy being out on the motorcycle, about halfway to the stop sign from the other stop sign, they were doing about 60, 70 miles an hour. I'm thinking, wow.
Well, the experienced motorcycle riders like Mike and his wife ride a lot, so they know the rules, and you would assume and hope that the problem is there's a large percentage of motorcycle riders, when you see them, you just assume that they have a license, but there's a percentage of people that have never even taken the
Really?
Yes. And
I didn't know that.
And that's even doubly scary because they don't react like Mike will maybe see that there's a deer, there might be a deer, or how I stop at a stop sign, or if it's wet, how I'll react. And that's the thing, as a regular driver of a vehicle like you see a motorcycle and you just assume they know what they're going to do, they know how to,
yeah, that's
you just
true.
have to sort of take
That's
into
true.
mind that they may not even have a driver's
That's
license.
right. That's very true. I noticed that you brought a list of things that you wanted to talk, and here I am asking you sort of questions. Care to share some tips for students? They're getting ready to go down to Florida. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was in college, everyone went down to Florida. The movie Where the Boys Are, and,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm assuming that still goes on.
Yes, I would think. The thing I would throw out is always be aware of your situation. Be aware of who's around you. If you're on campus, or you go down to Florida someplace, but just if you get specifically to campus and you're walking back from softball practice, the young ladies, and you're going back to your dorm and stuff, is try to travel in groups. They always say that thing, there's strength in numbers.
That is true.
If there's a bad guy lurking around or something, you're a much easier target by yourself. If you have 2 or 3 people, usually these guys are cowards. They're not going to get a group of a couple people. You always see kids walking around and they're texting and they've got the
They're not
music
watching
on.
what
They're
they're
not
doing, right.
watching, and you've got a strange guy who's following you. A lot of times you don't even pick up that they're following you on. So if you're going to make a trip and it's evening or something like that, make sure that you're be aware of what's going on. I know Mike does a good job when I talk to his LA1 class. This is something he always brings up, is be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
And also be aware of another service I didn't mention earlier is our officers, if you have any qualms on campus, whether it's staff, student, and you need to get your dorm, you need to get your practice, you come out of class in the evening, weird guy out there in the parking lot. If you call our police number, the officer, whether it's myself or any of them, will walk down, they'll bring the police car down, the golf cart down, they'll take you to your dorm, they'll escort you to your car. If you do recognize that there's something looks strange, that's not the time to be brave.
Right.
The society we live in does not allow that anymore. So the reason a lot of our kids, I always tell them when we talk to the freshman success classes, they don't want to call because it'll make them seem like they're stupid, that
Right.
I'm a coward,
Yeah.
or I don't
Yeah.
want to. But we
Right.
just can't live in that world anymore. So
Right.
so call. I always tell them, if you call 58 days in a row and you need escorted to your dorm, our guys will come and they'll get you there and make sure you're safe, because that's the bottom line, is being
Right.
safe. So,
Yeah, that is very, very true.
we got time, maybe a little bit about theft.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that.
Most of the there's 2 places you're probably going to have theft the most on a college campus. It is the #1 problem on any college campus. If you talk to their police chief, security chief, anything, theft. Because no matter how big or small the university or college is, if you give somebody the opportunity to steal your stuff, they will steal it. So the goal is, don't give them the opportunity. Most thefts, if you have in the parking lots, most colleges is not a place where someone's just going to come and bust the windows out and steal your stuff in your car, because someone's going to hear the glass, they're going to call the police. So what they do is called a crime of opportunity. They walk around like Woodhull lot, Bob Evans lot, and they give a quick look into your car to see if there's anything of value. If your laptop's sitting there, you got a $20 bill, a cup of change, a nice ball cap, anything at all of value. The next step is they pull on your car door. If the car door is unlocked, they open it, they sit in the seat, play with the visor, they pick up your laptop, anything that you had, shut the door and walk off. Because no one is going to notice that, because the whole lot is filled with people with laptops and getting in and out of their cars.
True. That's
so 2 things that you can do to prevent that is, if you have anything of value, put it in the trunk or hide it. If you can put it in the trunk, that's the best case. If you no more than throw a towel or a coat or a hat over your laptop, your cup of change, because even if they see something of value and your door is locked, they'll move on. So hide
They won't break your window out?
We have not, knock on wood, had any windows busted out, because there's just too many people around. It's not impossible, but we haven't had any yet. The next step is to lock your door. We have not had a single car theft, and luckily we haven't. In the 4 years I've been here, we've only had 4 or 5, but we have not had a single car theft where the door was locked. Every car theft, either the driver says that they locked the door, they thought they locked the door and they forgot, they thought the passenger locked the door, or the lock was broken. So we have yet to have a theft from a car that's locked. So that's pretty good odds if you lock your car and you hide your items, and no one's going to get into your car.
So keeping all my gold bars
Yes.
in my trunk.
In your
I
trunk.
should make sure that.
You should be safe. You should be safe.
Scott, it is a pleasure always having you. Unfortunately, we ran out of time because you had 5 amusing stories that you wanted to share, but you're going to have to come back and.
I'll always be glad to, sir.
Today, again, it was my pleasure to meet again with Scott Borden. Scott Borden is the Chief of Police, Campus Police here at the University of Rio Grande Community College. Upcoming at 2 o'clock, we have exposition with Mike and Valerie, in which they're going to be talking with Courtney Ritchie, Wow, boy, you talk about a senior moment. My humblest apologies. And then at 3 o'clock, we're going to have the Provost, Dr. Richard Sachs. I'm Patrick.
I'm Chief Borden.
Thank you for listening and have a great rest of the day.